Hey guys, FitzBro here, and today we're going to be making our first video of an educational series for the Lakota civilization. And we're going to start things off by breaking down the deck that I like to use in my 1v1 Lakota games, and I'll show you a few of my other decks as well. And some of the cards, if you're new to the civilization, I'm going to go through some of the more unique cards and how I like to use them in my Lakota games. So let's get right into it. So here is my standard 1v1 Lakota deck that I like to use. You will see I have a lot of different decks for different situations, but I find myself probably using this deck, I would say at least 80% of the time or more. And one thing I really like about this deck is it's very versatile, whether you're going to stick out the fight in age 2, or go for age 3, or even go for long game into age 4. And one thing in particular that I found has been helpful about this deck is there are so many different options of things you could do here that it doesn't give away the strategy you're trying to use for a given game. Particularly in those matchups where you go against an enemy several times in a row and they know what strategy you're generally doing by the deck you're choosing. There's a lot of things you can do here, and you don't have to give away too many of your tactics by your deck selection. So looking at first a few of the more unique cards, if you're new to the Lakota civilization, you see some unit shipments, which are pretty self-explanatory. But let's take a look at some of the more unique ones. So the natives have the European Arsenal improvement, so that you can upgrade your units. And the Lakota do this at their teepee. So you build a teepee, and then you can upgrade your troops there. Now, this is very important in games that go to the longer side. If you're going for an all-out H2 rush, might not be important. But I also find there's many games where I think I'm going to club rush the enemy or hit them hard in H2, and I end up have to maintain or turtle back, and the game goes late. So this is always a card I found that I wanted to have in my deck, and many times I didn't have it in there. So European Arsenal is very strong, particularly the rifling for your Wakina, and the ranged boost you can get to your Cav. You can also get increased Cav siege, are very strong upgrades. You're going to want anything that might go H3 or longer. Another card. This is arguably one of the stronger economy cards in the entire game, is the Great Hunter. And you can see there it makes the gatherer work rate for hunted animals plus 25%, which is a very big boost in H2. And if you've got hunting dogs, it's only added onto that. And you got to think about if you're aging up with the politician to deliver bison and a hunting bonus. All of that stacks up and can really increase the amount of food you ever bring in, which Lakota is a food-hungry civilization. And then you'll see these Bison Shipments, which I love my Bison Shipments. I know early on I used to think it was kind of goofy to ship food, especially if you're coming from maybe you played H2 or not H2 but 2v2s, and you're used to having all your unit shipments in your deck. These bison are really great, particularly if you're turtled down in your base against civilizations like perhaps Russia or Aztec, or maybe you're in a situation on like Ozarks where your hunts have ran too far away and they back herded or whatever might happen. These hunts can really help you, particularly if you haven't herded everything in or have the map control that you want. And that's a lot of food, 15 bison. In this age 4, ideally as Lakota, you want to try to not build farms. You want to build one farm to get the upgrade, but ideally you should have enough shipments. And if you're in the age 4 and taking on a long game, you want to be shipping bison and constantly hunting and not farming. So have this bison card in your deck. It's going to be worth it. And then some more unique cards. In age 3, you see this adoption card, which gives you minus 40% on build time for a villager. So this can really help you get a villager boom in Age 3. Perhaps you have raided some in Age 2 and you've got your enemy contained and you don't think they're going to be coming at you for a while, and you hit Age 3, this might be a great first card to send and pump out some villagers. Now, when you do send Adoption, you got to make sure you've got the food income behind it. So a lot of times, if I'm going to commit to Adoption, I might even pull my villagers off gold and have a lot of my villagers hunting so that I can make sure I've got constant villager production. And with this Adoption, I always recommend have at least a second and, best case, a third town center. Perhaps you want to ship the wood first, but what I try to do is when I'm aging up to 3, if I know I'm going to go this Adoption route, I'll have the 700 wood shipped, and your town centers are only going to cost 400 wood. So if you've got a trade route and you've already got upgraded grab some wood, which I always recommend trying to take the trade route as Lakota if there's a nice trade route you can use. Hopefully you've already got a second town center or a third town center underway. So if you're going to be going the economic route, this is a great card you definitely want to have. And you got to think about, you can even stack that on top of the fertility dance and really pump out the villagers. But again, got to have the food to back it up, and it's going to take a little bit to, for this to pay off. So you want to make sure, you've got your enemy, chilling in his base for a while. Some more unique cards. You see the Santi support and the 2 kettle support. This is a shipment of Axe Riders. And more importantly, 6 Axe Riders, thinking for 1,000 gold, it gives you 20% hit points for your Axe Riders, which if you've already got an army of, say, 20 Axe Riders, plus here's another 6, plus you add 20% HP to all of those, that really stacks up. So I recommend sending these cards perhaps when you've got to already have a small army established on the battlefield and you just need that extra edge, or a later game where you have enough villagers on the battlefield that 1,000 gold is something that's going to be easy for you to obtain or to repopulate. But these are very important cards. You need to have these to upgrade your units to take on, because typically, naturally Wakina have lower HP than other skirmishers. So you're really going to want that upgrade. So as far as unique cards, that's most of it. Looking at Age 4, this card, Command Skill, will give your War Chief a attack boost, which could be really great when you got your Death Ball Max Pop army in Age 4 and you're going for the enemy's base. Important with this, you got to keep your War Chief alive. So that's you send this card, and if your War Chief's sitting there dead on the battlefield, not doing a whole lot for you. So make sure you keep him behind your army or keep an eye on him. One thing to know about these ancient Shunki Prowlers, this is a very strong Age 4 card because you do not have to research the upgrades for Tashunki. Now they get stronger in numbers, right? And you can only get 14 without Marauders, which you see I do not have in this deck. You cannot send this card if you've trained too many Tashunki already. Okay, so you can only get 14 Tashunki. Make sure you can't have, simple math. You got a 14 here. So if you already have, 7 on the battlefield, it's not going to let you send this. So make sure you have calculated correctly if you're training Tashunki. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll train a batch of Tashunki and then ship this. But you got to be careful, because there's been many times where I have trained too many and then I can't send the shipment, and then I'm, maybe I've already sent these Wakina rifles and this is something I was waiting for. So just plan that out if you're going to send this shipment. Or perhaps you don't have any Tashunki on the battlefield. You can send this, go on a raid, go find the villagers, gold mine or hunt. Perhaps I like to run across the battlefield and then stealth. They move pretty slow in stealth mode. So wait till you get, somewhat close to them and then go into stealth mode and then pop out on their villagers. So as far as my 1v1 deck, this is mostly what I use. I will show you a few of my other decks, but we're not going to go in depth with many of these. I also have a variation of this, which I call Rush with Water, and you'll see it's barely different. It's literally the same deck. I took out the Bison and put the 3 Buccaneers. This is really great card on maps like New England, where your enemy is going to be throwing boats into the pond in the middle of the map. So you can do that. Or perhaps your enemy has started a fish boom and you want to put some pressure on that they haven't made any naval units. This can really help knock out a fish boom really quickly. So I like having this card in the deck. Highly recommend. Make sure if you're on a water map, you have this card in your deck. It's going to, at the very least, they're going to look at your deck and be afraid that this could be popping out. But this is a very strong card to send. I also have a Fast Industrial deck, which I used for a short period of time. It's fun, and I'm still trying to find situations where I can use it. But my experience with this deck is when they look at you and see this, they're like, okay, you're definitely going H4, and they end up rushing you a lot of times in a strategy where maybe you're trying to, go fast industrial. So what I actually end up liking my regular rush deck because I still have pretty much most of the unit shipments I want, and it doesn't give away necessarily that I'm going straight for H3 or 4. So that was kind of the problem I think I was finding with this fast industrial deck, but it's something I'm going to continue to mess around with and see if we can make something out of it. And to be successful with Lakota, you have to have a Lakota mirror deck. Lakota mirrors are very challenging and are constantly changing in my recent matchups with them. One thing you'll notice about my Lakota mirror deck is I have a lot of Age 1 shipments, which I typically do not have. I even added 3 villagers. I added this cougar, which actually does 20% gold gather rate at the tribal marketplace, even though it looks like you would think to send you a shipment of cougars is a gold shipment. And I also, of course, I also added a 600 gold shipment to this. You'll see I don't have clubs in here. Now, I think some people might use those. I personally do not. I try a lot of Lakota mirrors consist of just purely bowrider on bowrider. So a lot of times build orders you're looking at is sending 4 vil. Once you get up, send 700 gold, and you're going to be gathering all food and using this gold to get your batch of bowriders out, ship 5 vils, and then sending 600 gold. So you're using this gold to get your bowriders out in the battlefield while gathering food. And then from there, you can, if you want to go eco, I try to sneak this Great Hunter in a lot of times, because if you can get the edge up and defend your base and get at this hunting bonus, it can really help. But take a look at this. I highly recommend a well thought out Lakota mirror deck, because you're going to be stuck in H2 a lot longer than most other games. Which is why I've added, some of these other cards. And actually, my most recent Lakota game, I used every single shipment from these 2 and still had shipments waiting before I could get to H3. And that are most of my decks. If you want to see these without going through this video, I do have them listed in my Discord channel, which I'll add in the link below this video, and you should join the Discord and you'll find a channel with all my Lakota decks. Now, I do update these over time, so sometimes it takes a second. What you're seeing here in this video is my most updated build as of December 23rd, 2020. But I will be updating them in my Discord as I go, and you can see those there, because I probably won't be uploading other YouTube videos regarding my deck. So here, these are the basic cards I use and what have worked for me. You'll see other Lakota players have different variations and their own opinions on that, and of course, that's going to happen. Come up with your own ideas for some ideas. But I hope this is helpful for getting started with building your first Lakota deck.